Okay, welcome to the ThatITShow. Today we are going to keep talking to Anna, and
Hello.
we are going to keep talking to Vedran. And the topic that we are going to do is going to be STEM education. Because in the last episode, while we were doing security and talking about the security as such, we realized that we should be trying to understand how STEM education should work. And we should be talking about why we think that it still doesn't work as well as it should be. Having said that, let's roll the intro. And now you.
He was waiting for that. Such a show. Oh, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, let's follow up on something that you mentioned earlier. You described in the previous episode, at least, you described some of your first experiences in terms of getting to grips with computers, assembling, disassembling computers, computers as patients, let's call it that way. You also mentioned some things related to mathematics and how you progressed from being a average student to being a very good one, and basically working from that onwards when reaching college as well. But let's go even further back than that. Let's have a little bit of a discussion about the primary education first. Because my personal opinion is that it either needs to start there or maybe even earlier if possible, in terms of the surround in which we exist, both young men and girls as well, or boys and girls, doesn't really matter. And if you want to have your offspring, because he mentioned a certain a UK band recently, so I'm just returning the favor.
US?
Offspring, yeah.
US?
Yeah, US? Okay,
Yes.
whatever, still punk. If you want to get your child to go into the area of STEM, the starting to work on that while they're in secondary school or something like that is probably too late. That's at least my opinion, but if you want to interject, go ahead.
Well, I think it depends on the person. Well, the thing is, a lot of, let's say, things have to be taken into account whether a person will enter STEM or not. It's not just the surroundings, but it's also the person's personality and their interests as a whole. If I wasn't interested at all, the influence of my parents wouldn't have played a role in me choosing this or choosing something else, because they can continuously try to motivate me to get into it, but if I wasn't keen onto it at all, I wouldn't go there. So I know myself, I'm quite stubborn when I want something or not, and when I like something or not. When I'm really uninterested into something, I do the bare minimum, and it's really visible on my face that I do not like it.
You think that that's good?
No, it's not good.
No, not the thing that it's visible on your face, just the principle.
It's not good. I'm just saying it's really like obvious, and so if they kept on trying to get me into STEM or something, I wouldn't go. It just wouldn't happen. So I think with other people as well, and kids in general, if they don't have an interest in it at all, like at least that something is interesting in it, doesn't have to be some entire topic, they probably, even if they went there, they will get out of that field eventually. Which does happen. It does happen. Some parents do force their children to go into some field. It doesn't have to be just STEM. It can be anything, really.
Yep.
And because the kids, succumbed under that pressure and they decided to go into something they didn't even want to initially, they will eventually get out of it because they just cannot stand being somewhere where their brain is not stimulated well enough in the way they want it to be. So
Okay, let me let me not counterpoint that, but ask you a question in the opposite direction. I'm really interested in what you're going to say about
Okay.
this, actually. Do you think that that abundance of choices that you guys now have as young people,
Okay.
because you do,
Yeah,
it's
we
obvious
have
that
many
you do.
choices, yeah.
Do you think that that's actually good and healthy?
I actually think it's not. Because
Okay.
I'll be honest, even though we have many choices, humans are quite simple. And when they're presented with too many choices, it becomes a bit overwhelming. And then when you try to choose something from this vast amount of choices, your brain kind of goes into like, whoa, I don't know what to pick now. I'm
And-
gonna go with anything. You know, I'm just gonna choose something.
It goes back into the default mode.
Yeah, it goes like, it's just.
No, there is a default
Yeah,
mode. You know what's the default mode of any human brain is in that regard?
Okay.
I want to do the thing that gives me the most benefit for the least amount of effort.
Yes.
That's exactly that.
And
And
that's
I'm not dissing on that. Just stating that as
yeah,
a
it's just the
biological
way it
fact.
is. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is. They just pick something that they think will be okay for them in the long run, regarding money, or just that they can live a comfortable life. Not necessarily something that they might completely enjoy. The thing is, I've seen with my peers in middle school and high school as well, is when they are being asked, like, what do you want to do in the future? Most of them will give the answer, I don't know yet.
Mhm.
And that answer will stick to them even in their senior year of high school. And the problem with that is that when it comes to the point they have to pick a college or university, there's a problem. They're going to choose something that they won't end up liking in
I'm
the
not
end.
going to take your experience at face value and induce what everybody does, because my experience is exactly the same as yours, and we are 20-something years apart in
Yeah.
terms of how old we are. But exactly the same thing happened to me, and for me at that time, and maybe you'll have a different take on this. Very interesting for
Okay.
me to understand this. Maybe you have a fresh view that I don't have about this. For me, at that point in time, so we were basically, fourth year secondary school. You had to do the graduation part
Yeah.
and whatnot. Then almost nobody in the whole generation, practically, in my high school, knew where they were going.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, knew, I don't know about you, we probably are going to have something similar as a back-end story. I knew in, I don't know, grade 7 or grade 8 which college I'm going to take, and that was that.
Yeah.
And I think that that also has something to do with the previous topic that you kind of covered, which has surprised me in terms of that we actually agree on this. And we don't have to, of course.
Yeah.
Which is that about the abundance of choices. Back when we were younger, we didn't have that. Okay, that was the point, actually. So for me, that I found that very curious that people didn't know where to go. That's first. And the second as a result of that, a lot of them went into various types of social type of colleges.
Yes.
Some of them who were more, let's say, it's not related to intelligence necessarily or something,
Yeah.
but some of them who are more into actual studying and the habit of studying and whatnot, they maybe went with something like a law degree or something
Yes.
in that regard. Some of them went to something like economics or whatnot. Almost nobody went to, like, let's say, medicine or something. That's a steep mountain to climb. And I found all of that, looking it from the side, because I knew when I was 13 years old where I was going. I
Yeah.
found that curious. Now, I'm going to openly state that I think of myself as lucky in that regard, that I knew. Exactly in line with what you were saying earlier, that you found yourself in a situation in which nobody knew what they were actually going to do.
Yeah, I had the same reaction as you because I just couldn't figure out. I was looking at things back then more the way from my lens, from my point of view. And for me, it was like, how do you not know what you like? Like, I knew from the start. I didn't really put myself in their shoes. Maybe they just never really focused on something as much in life and focused more on going out with friends or just socializing a lot. It was something I didn't do that much. I'll be honest. I did sometimes hang out with my neighbors or something like that, but I never went to parties or had this kind of elaborate social life of just drinking, partying, going out every single day, things like that. No, I was mostly hanging out at home, playing video games or studying, things like that. So people would who like to go out would probably consider this to be very boring.
Or weird.
Or weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, I was a peculiar child for sure. I was kind of an outlier in school regarding my interests and stuff. People just found it weird. Why would a kid be interested in nuclear engineering at like 12 years old?
Why not?
To them, it was weird. You know, I was just like reading about nuclear reactors and how things work, and I found that to be pretty cool. And I had multiple interests like that. One of them was one of the, like, more of the social sciences, like psychology. And I read everything I could about it. Everything there was to read about it, I did. And when it came to the point that we had that subject in high school, I didn't study at all. I just came to the oral examination and spewed out the entire material in one go. And the teacher was like, okay, here's the A, you're done. You know, if there's nothing you have to do, you're pretty much done. Do you want to like study psychology or something? I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure yet. Like, I just didn't know. I had too many interests that I had at the moment, and I still wasn't sure at that point if I wanted to pursue IT or not. So I just kept my options open, but I knew I wanted to do some of these things. So I had a vision, but when it narrowed down to actually graduating, I knew this was the time I had to thoroughly decide what's the best for me in terms of what I like from all of those things, and what would be the best career choice for me in the long run regarding stability and everything else that comes with having a job.
I'm going to come back to this discussion. I have a feeling that Yasmin wants to say something.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just going to say that both of you are completely missing the point right now. The point is somewhere completely off, because when we started, I think we have two different things that we need to discuss here. What you're discussing here right now is the ability of a person who is of some certain age to be able to discern what he's going to do in the past. But
in
we
the
started,
future.
Okay, sorry, in the future, yes. Let me just, the time doesn't move in the right direction for me today. So anyways, we are talking about people who are able to understand what they're going to do in the future. When we started the question was how early should we introduce different choices? Because STEM is a choice. Mm-hmm. And I cannot expect that somebody who is 6 years old or 7 years old is able to make any choices at all. So we said, or you said, that the choices are both good and bad, mostly bad, because people are completely overwhelmed by them. But then we need to establish when to give them more choices, because they need to have the choice of STEM, they need to have a choice of social sciences, they need to have choices of whatever they like to do. So right now, I don't think that we are even on the right track to answer the right questions.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I know.
I think that we already got there, but we skipped probably 10 or 12 years of education.
No, we started at the top, then went to the bottom, and then we were building back to the top.
Yeah.
Okay. So now please explain to me, how early should we start with STEM?
Now I have a sub-question to that, actually following that question.
Yes, but first answer the question.
I think that there is a way to do it, but you're not going to like it. And most people wouldn't like it. And it would be semi-forceful way of thinking, which I'm not 100% sure that would be good, mm-hmm. but it would definitely produce some results, mm-hmm. which would be to start trying to work out at a very early age, from parents' standpoint, this is the problem. To enroll them into, let's say, primary school that focuses on something.
Okay.
Which needs a quantum shift in the way in which primary education works. Mm-hmm. There actually have been some, let's say, tests and tries in that direction all over the world, and they're not necessarily unsuccessful, just so you know. But if we were to take that at face value and implement it as an algorithm, you would basically have, let's say, a primary school that focuses on STEM, primary school that focuses on, I don't know, economics, on medicine or something. I'm not against this per se, you know, although it does seem a little bit on the forceful side towards the children.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you're 6 years old, who's going to make your choices for you?
Your parents, probably.
We've been doing this for millennia.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily bad from the get-go. As an idea. Maybe it will get bad later.
That's
If
when
we
they
realize-
have to have the choice to get out of it.
Okay? So there has to be a little bit of fluidity between those.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it's okay to get children started into something because on their own they're probably not going to know it even exists when they're that young, and show them it and see how they're feeling by doing this and that, and if they enjoy it or not. And over time, if that kind of school does exist here or somewhere else, try to enroll them into that and see after, I don't know how many years it would last, honestly. First 4 years or 5, I don't know. But after that, talk to the children or child.
Check their grades, check how the
they're-
teachers...
Yeah, and see, and literally just talk to them. Like, do you enjoy this? Do you want to continue this? If the child is like, yes, I want to continue this, then there's nothing stopping you. Let's just continue this way and continue focusing on STEM or whatever other field it is that you've gotten yourself into from a young age, no? And if in case it comes to the point that the child is like, I really don't want to do this. I want to focus in a completely different direction. Okay, you're giving them another choice. They can go into humanities.
Different track.
Yeah, they can change it. Like it shouldn't be like forced onto them for the rest of their life. It can be a start that they are put into something, but then later on be given a choice that they can get out of it if they want to.
Are you now happier with the answer?
Yes, but what you're proposing here is a complete redo of everything we have structured so far in the education.
Which doesn't work.
Which both works and doesn't work. The problem is that what we are trying to do right now is we are trying to give people or children, so small people, small people,
Future big people.
the ability to choose their future as late as they can. So what we're trying to do, we are trying to bombard them with different topics all the way to the middle school. And then
during middle school.
And during the middle school, and then saying, okay, now you're going to choose the university that you need to go to, because this is going to be what you're going to do in the rest, for the rest of your life. And I think that this is pushing it too far.
Yeah.
I think that probably the cutoff should be the primary school.
I agree.
Agreed.
And I think not only the primary school, but I think that probably the 6th or 7th grade would be even better.
Yeah, probably because they can decide even better for themselves what.
And then not only that, some of the topics, some of the courses branch in different directions.
Yes.
In
yes.
year 7 and 8, you get some courses.
Like
you
chemistry,
use some chemistry,
physics.
physics.
They're trying to do this, and the education itself, at least in Croatia, has done this in the way that they're introducing new different topics for people who want to study additional language, usually additional courses or additional study time for the mathematics or physics. But that's basically it. And this is one of the biggest problems, is that we don't know how to approach the problem of STEM or social studies or whatever. In any other way other than introducing a subject that's going to be general enough to point the person in the right direction, but too general to actually make them excited.
Yeah.
And what we are doing is, for example, we are going to just introduce additional hours of mathematics into the primary school. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
If a person doesn't like mathematics, he's going to just ignore those.
Exactly.
And this is not going to help. The thing that we are doing wrong right now, from my opinion, is that we are trying to make people fit into a certain box, template, whatever, and they need to be ready for the next step in such a way that the templating is coarse enough that it can be actually implemented, because nobody is able to afford so many different courses in the middle school or the primary school. But at the same time, we are trying to say, okay, they're going to have the choice.
Yeah.
There isn't really a choice until you go into the university.
Yeah.
You can choose, more or less, you can choose your secondary school or middle school.
Yeah.
But the problem is that usually your choice is so limited because of the available places in the schools that
Yeah.
are.
That's the actual problem, because the problem that you mentioned earlier about templatization and lack of templatization, that problem is not solvable. There is no amount of there aren't enough variables in the whole universe to solve that problem.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't even focus on that, because that's the micromanagement of micromanagement of micromanagement for everybody. It just doesn't work. It's the scale is too big.
Yeah.
But I'm completely with you on the topic of saying that for the secondary school, especially in Croatia, is a perfect example of this. There aren't enough places for our children to sign in for the secondary school in a lot of different types of schools, especially in STEM.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest problem here is that we don't have enough places, since we want to utilize schools the way that we're utilizing all the other industries.
Yeah.
We think that we should be creating schools that have, I don't know, 25 to 30 people per class. They should be running all the time. They should be having this many hours of studying, this many hours of whatever. And what we are creating in this way is that we say, okay, we cannot have more than 2 schools that are going to be doing this program. So this is artificially lowering the chances of people actually getting in, and this is lowering the chances of them getting to try how the particular program looks like. Also, changing middle schools is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And it's stressful for the kid, it's stressful for everybody else involved. So it's extremely difficult. So once you are inside the system, you cannot go out.
There are a couple of other things that I know work in smaller environments, in smaller cities, because I've seen it many times over. My son told me something about this as well all through the years. He lives in a smaller city, so that's an advantage in this case. And then over the course of the summer, the city organizes various types of sports games. Let's use this as a metaphor. And then they can go to, and do tennis and basketball and football and volleyball and this and that. They're like, let's say 20 different sports that all of the children from the city can try. I know it's difficult to do on a massive scale, so I'm aware of the problem with that. But that kind of gets you closer to the idea of what does a young person want to do in terms of if they want to go into sports.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's some kind of a similar thing could be done for let's say, various types of, let's say, education-based programs in the future.
Okay.
Maybe that can be digitized. Doesn't necessarily have to be in a classroom. I don't know. Just thinking out loud. I don't have the answer.
I think that some sort of side classes that are going to complement the classes inside the primary or secondary school is probably the solution to this. And by side classes, I mean that the education system itself should recognize that people need to be able to choose something, and to both make it compulsory for people to choose something, but also make place for that courses. So instead of making children go to classes, I don't know, from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, say that the primary school is going to last until 11, or secondary school is going to last until 11, and then after this, you're going to have your 3 hours of doing something that you actually chose.
Yeah.
And this could solve the problem. So creating an education institution. No, not only this, but creating institutions that are going to be just additional schools, just to fill in the gaps for the particular field. So STEM schools, social education schools, and so on, that are going to enable you to take the classes that you want as a kid in elementary school or primary or middle school. So you're going to have a part of the schooling that is going to be compulsory. It's going to contain the things that you need to do, and then have a separate part of your day that is going to be compulsory to be filled, but can be chosen by either you or your parent or whoever is taking care of you. So that you can actually choose something. because I think that we have enough, or the number of children is small enough that we can actually do it at scale that we have right now here.
I mean, here in our country.
In
Okay,
our country.
okay.
I don't know if this is answer to any other country, but I think that this can be done. Because we can create educational institutions such as this one that could be covering not only university education, but also middle schools and primary schools when it comes to courses. Not the entirety of the entirety of primary school, but the courses.
Okay.
Be it in the educational institution itself or at the place of the primary education.
But that would require one thing that just doesn't usually happen. And we do have some of these programs that are kind of in that direction, like what used to be Digital Academy and whatnot.
Digital Ninjas, so yes.
Digital Ninjas, yeah. That will require, I think, a much greater integration between the way in which the public school system works and all of these activities on the side, which
Yes.
is never going to happen.
Yes, the main reason why we are not doing this is because it is extremely slow to change the public school education. And the first thing that would happen, and this would be a big stumbling block, is that if you reduce the number of hours that the child is inside the primary school and inside the secondary school, you are reducing the number of working hours that the teachers need to do. And this
Complicates
makes
parents' lives as well, okay?
no, but you are what you are doing is you are making a lot of teachers redundant because they are not needed anymore in the place of the employment that they are at. So they cannot, or if they cannot teach, I don't know, IT or some specialized course, they are stuck. They cannot just simply switch over. Or if they do switch over the way that we did in the IT, some of them are going to be excellent, but some of them are not going to be that good. I'm going to be pretty lenient here and say some of them are going to just switch over the name of the course, but are not going to be able to actually fulfill the course. Because what is the worst outcome of all of this is if you present a child with a choice and then make that choice bad.
Yeah.
If you provide them with education that is below par, this is not going to end well.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you are going to make the child that is interested in something hate that particular subject.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the worst outcome.
Yep.
Okay. I have another thing to add to the topic.
Okay, just do.
I think that at times we as human beings are overanalyzing and overcomplicating solutions, that we are figuring out solutions to the problems that sometimes don't even exist. We are definitely prone to doing that. And that some of the things that we are discussing right now shouldn't necessarily be only in the hands of something like a public or a private or a combination thereof of schooling systems. Some of that needs to go back directly to the, let's say, responsibility of the child and the parent, which is something that's sorely missing right now. You can clearly see that all over the place when the children are taught from very young age that they need to be quiet when their mother and father are drinking coffee, and the way to achieve that is via here's the phone, watch the movie or something
Yeah.
like that. Keep quiet, which is not the way that I find to be commendable. I would say that there are many examples that you can find easily all over the internet, in YouTube as well, of young people being incredibly skillful at things, and I'm using music here as a perfect example. Incredibly skillful just because not only did they had the penchants to do it, like the talent or something like that, they just kind of consumed a boatload of material that was available on YouTube or in books, or somebody told them about it. Maybe listen to some podcasts to learn about theory or whatnot. And there's a gazillion young both like boys and girls. And if you open on YouTube and find a young guitarist, young a drummer, young bassist, whatever, there's hundreds of them. So there are certain things that we shouldn't have to over micromanage and overanalyze. Some of the things should be in the realms of parents nudging children towards something that's interesting to them, and then letting them be
Yes.
or providing the surroundment for that to be possible. Of course, that requires some other things to be solved. If a child wants to play drums, that's a problem. Of course. I understand, I recognize the fact that you need to have the space, the money to play the drums, the skins, the sticks, the cymbals, the whatnot. I'm completely aware of that fact. That's the problem of a wider society.
Can I just interject with a big stick that going to put the big stick that I'm going to put in your spokes. Let's talk about vaccination.
About what?
Vaccination.
Vaccination.
Yes.
For the love of Christ, why?
Because this is the thing that we are trying to leave into the hands of parents.
Oh, you mean regular, normal vaccination?
Yes. And
you want to ask me how successful we are at that?
No, I want to try to understand, how do you think that a regular person is going to be able to choose different topics and different things for his child, when some of them are completely unable to understand that the child can get a deadly disease and die unless they are vaccinated, and they still refuse to vaccinate the kids?
Mm-hmm.
So we are giving them a choice of, do you want music, do you want sports, do you want STEM, do you want social? And this is just life and death, and they are unable to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Is it too optimistic to try to get those people to decide?
Here is our eternal discussion between ourselves that's happening over the course of many episodes in various different guises, and we actually agree on it as well. I just find the solution that he usually suggests. I'm not saying that he believes in it or not. I'm just saying that he usually suggests it, which is basically some kind of a framework or some kind of a mandation or some kind of a state-run something, or something that forces people to do something. I find that to be just equally as useless as all of the same topics being left to their own devices, and the free market, or whatever you want to call it.
But
so there is no middle ground there. I'm afraid.
The thing is that if you leave to a person to do an educated decision, and when they refuse the education for the decision, how the hell do you think that the decision is going to be any better than the actual person deciding?
No, I actually partially agree with you. Don't miss my point. So I agree that there needs to be some part of that is going to be mandated, in a sense. I'm with you on that.
Yes. So
just not everything.
Okay.
And I know that you are going to follow up that with the question of, okay, we are going to draw the line between mandated and whatnot. Yeah, we are going to have to figure that out. I'm not saying that I have a solution, and I openly stated that I don't have one.
So this is basically the risk assessment matrix when you say delayed until further discussion.
And many further discussions. and then we put AI on top of it and run the scenarios.
Yeah.
And Anarchy is going to do the security.
No, we are going to just solve this with the AI, that's it. So what is your opinion on this? Please try to break the deadlock, because what we have done for the last year and a half, we have been doing this and trying to, from time to time, solve this thing where people need to have the free will. But then when you offer them free will, suddenly you realize that some of the people don't understand what free means, what will means, or how to stand upright. So you suddenly have a problem.
Yeah. So
How to solve those?
sometimes some problems shouldn't be solved.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Carl Jung in you.
Okay.
Just let them be.
Okay. So, but what
Whatever
do we do?
happens.
So what do we do?
What?
We let some of the kids slip through the net and just become whatever? Or we choose the profession for them?
Depends what their age is.
Yes, but we had back in the day when we were younger, we had those professional. How was it called? It was professional orientation.
Yeah.
Professional orientation.
Oh, I think we had that as well. I just never went.
Nobody does. Nobody goes to those.
Sure, you didn't have to be professionally oriented.
No, I
We
know.
we had to sort of kind of go to professional orientation.
You must go, or
We had to. But basically what they did is that they had extremely limited set of choices
Okay.
based on whatever the middle school was available, and they said you need to go to this school, you need to go to this school. This is the limits of the professional orientation in the at the end of the primary education.
Okay.
Because the idea was after 8 years of primary education, you went to talk to the psychologist, and then he or she would decide for you which school is probably the best for you. So basically what the rest of the education for you should be probably the
Yeah.
best. But combine the number of children with the availability of schools, and you are going to end up with talking to a child for 3 to 5 minutes, and usually listening to whatever was written in the notes that the child had in its own book with the scores and everything else, because they would say, okay, you are not good in mathematics, you are good in physics, you are not good in whatever, you should be going to this school, and that would be it. So this was the amount of professional orientation that we got.
If that was like the same way it was when I was doing it, if I were to do it, then they would probably tell me to do something completely else than from what I'm doing now. So yeah, not really efficient.
Yes. Yes. Also, in my case, I had to do it, and I think I was told to study languages.
Oh, so they would just tell me the same thing.
I think it was
probably.
languages or something like this.
Yeah.
Completely no IT.
Yeah, it would probably be the same with me.
For
Definitely.
the life of me, I cannot imagine you studying languages. Sorry.
I'm good in formal grammars.
Formal grammars. Yeah, that's IT. That's IT. Yeah, I know when it's showing me. I know the lingo.
So
awesome.
this is as far as I go with studying languages, but I think that formal grammars are just a part of. This is as far as in languages as I want to see.
Okay,
Fair enough.
I understand. But I'm still impressed by her Carl Jung impersonation.
I think she's better at it than you.
Oh, I'm sure she is.
So
That's actually good. Younger generations, blah, blah, the weight of the world.
yes,
That's a
okay,
big
okay.
title to bear. That's a large title to bear.
No. That's all good. Okay, now let's move into a little bit more, let's say, formal topics of discussion, because I really want to hear your critical opinion about some of the stuff that we do here.
Okay.
And maybe you can point us at some of the weaknesses that might be present here in terms of the education programs that we have, which is squarely in the middle of STEM, definitely. Maybe you have some pointers in terms of the different teaching methods, or maybe different educational methods in terms of grading
Okay.
or something. If you look at your undergrad program,
Yes.
for example, first 3 years, did you ever had a situation in which you found yourself in a classroom with your fellow peers, fellow students, and thought this is complete and utter rubbish and completely useless?
An undergraduate?
Yeah.
No, but in graduate, yes. If that counts.
Okay, we'll get there. No problem.
Do I get to have critical opinions?
Of
Of course.
Always.
Oh, great.
And actually, this is what I told her yesterday, that I want to hear her critical opinion about everything. That's what we try to teach you here.
Sure.
Yeah. So undergrad was basically fine for
I
you.
was completely fine with undergraduate. Even though we had a lot of those economics stuff, I still found them to be useful. Not something I would focus on necessarily, but it's good to know. Because in the end, if you're either going to run a business or you're going to be working for someone, you need to know what goes from the business standpoint. You're not just the tech jokey there.
Can you spot the difference between her and some of our other students who shall not be named, who were here in the podcast merely a year and a half ago, when they were her age? They were like, economics, that's pointless.
It's important. Everything is important.
Do you remember?
Yes, but I think that still think that economics is just wishy-washy, sort of kind of retelling of we were there and being general after the battle. But okay, It's
Yes,
just me.
as a man who, just like me, has run his own company for more than 20 years.
Yes, and
Yeah,
I,
sure.
I still think this because running your company usually doesn't have anything to do with simple economics, but also macroeconomics, and this is just a completely different thing. So either you have some faith in you and some luck, choose a career that makes sense for your company, and then you're going to be successful. Or I don't know, you try to out machine the Chinese companies, and you are going to end up not doing so well.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's a fair point. I do agree with the having to have luck as well as some kind of, skill and vision to actually get everything going. But in the end, you still need a foundation of something related to economy to actually know what you're doing and what's the best thing for the market at this moment. Because if it weren't for economics and the businesses that run so well, there wouldn't be place for us either. We would probably be in a basement and do something for ourselves.
Probably.
And it wouldn't be so great.
But please go back in our timeline. Search for our two episodes on failed things in IT.
Okay.
And take a look at the things that I mentioned, particularly Juicero and the rest of the things, because there is also some sort of conclusion that can be drawn from all of those.
Okay.
And this is that in IT, economics is a little bit different.
It is. Yes.
Especially when it comes to what is being pushed now and for the last 10, 20 years, the venture capitalism story. You're going to be a unicorn startup. You're going to make a lot of money, and people who are actually doing the same thing that you mentioned in the previous episode on the security, basically people who are giving you an opportunity to learn on a short course how to become a unicorn company, and then taking your money just to tell you that you need to work.
Yeah. Exactly.
So this is also economy.
It is. I mean, you're not lying. It is.
And so this is why I'm not completely sure what the economy when it comes to IT is and how to understand the economy. But okay, you need to understand financials.
Yes.
You need to understand how finances work.
Yes.
But I wouldn't call that economy. I would
Okay.
just call that a regular understanding of financials, regular understanding of markets, and so on.
Which should be a part of primary or secondary education.
Yes.
Yes.
One of those things.
As I said already more than a few times in different episodes.
Of course, yeah.
The thing when people don't understand that the taxes are something that they need to be working with and understand, because nobody's taking their money because this money was never theirs, so and so on and so on and so on.
Okay.
But
Okay.
please do continue.
Okay, I have more than a few more questions actually.
Okay.
So, undergrad was okay. Do you think that we prepared you in terms of the skill level enough for the grad program?
I would say that you did, because I do not have any problems for now.
For now?
For now, I don't know what awaits me next semester, so we'll see about that. I'm scared because you're doing that. Okay. But regarding undergrad, I think the education there was really good.
Actually, let's play devil's advocate for a second here.
Devil's advocate,
General after the battle. If you could just take the video cassette of your life,
Okay.
rewind it by 4 years backwards,
Okay.
or maybe 5.
You're
would you
talking
still?
about video cassettes.
Yes, I have to. Yeah.
Okay, rewinding the video cassettes. Okay,
yeah.
okay. do you know what rewinding a video cassette mean?
I know, my mom told me.
That's awesome. Your mom just earned extra points, and she already has quite a few from us. If you were to go backwards, let's say to your younger self, do you still think that it's a good thing that you signed for a college at all? And as a, let's say, a side question to that, do you think that it's good for a general person to even attend college?
Okay.
I'm fine with you saying no to both things. By the
Yeah,
way.
it's okay.
So-
I'm gonna be honest about everything. So for myself, I would still sign into college. So I would still enroll, and I wouldn't regret it one bit. Because from my point of view now, this is my opinion. I'm not pushing it on to anyone else. It's their right to judge if they agree or not. But basically, the market now, I'm not talking about the market before, it was vastly different. Now, it's highly competitive in both security and, I don't know, developing stuff, software engineering. So they're looking for people a lot of times who both have skill sets now, that they know what they're doing, and a degree. Why? Because they will get people who apply with a great skill set but don't have a degree, and then they'll get someone who has a great skill set and a degree. They're probably going to choose the person who also has the degree because they have equal skill sets.
You think?
I think so. Unless they're completely not fitting the team regarding their personality. But that's something completely else to talk about, like people skills and stuff like that, that also plays an incredible amount of a role in all of this. I'd say maybe even more so than a degree at this point. So I'd put people skills and just skills in general in first place regarding applying for jobs, whether you're going to get it or not, and degree and certifications after that. So I'd say that degrees and certifications are there to help you if you are competing with someone who's basically equal to you in both skill sets of social and technical. And then the degree and other stuff to kind of see, okay, maybe we're going to choose the person who also dedicated their life to actually go through the academics and sacrifice a part of themselves to completely devote themselves to the field. Mm-hmm. That's my point of view. It's not true for every company. There are companies who really do not care. But there will always be companies who do care. But now then you have to ask yourself, do you want to work for that kind of company or not? Because usually the atmosphere in those companies is a bit different from those who are more relaxed regarding whether or not you should have a degree. Mm-hmm. Now, for other people, I've kind of answered the question. It's for you to choose, but it also depends on what you want to do. If you think you're going to benefit way more from studying yourself and trying to dig onto the material yourself, off you go. But what academics offers you is this under the hood view of everything that you might struggle to learn yourself, like computer architecture. I would never be able to manage to learn it myself just like that. It's vastly different when you have someone who has been doing it for more than you live and explain it to you effortlessly, and then you kind of get this, oh, okay, so that's how it works. But if you were to do it yourself, you'd just bang your head against the wall for so long until you get it. It's basically a time saver if you go to college or university and get someone to just spill out all the knowledge to you like that. Some people will argue that some of the things that would be taught at university is useless because they're not learning the practical stuff. They're just diving into theory, more or less. And in my opinion, yes, college and university oftentimes, well, it's not really algebra now because algebra focuses a lot on practical skill sets as well, but a lot of colleges and universities don't. Mm-hmm. And if someone goes into that kind of university, they're maybe going to be presented with disappointment since they're not going to gain this practical skill set someone who, compared to someone who was learning at home by themselves, by watching and trying to make projects or things like that. So it depends what you want to do, but I'd still kind of advise to go to university because of the market competitiveness. But if it's something you really don't want to or are not able to, because there are cases like that as well, when someone is simply just cannot go through that. And that's okay. Like all of the paths someone chooses is okay, as long as they know that they still want to get to that goal the same way as everyone else, but they're going to find their own way how they're going to get there, whether it's by learning by themselves or going through various courses, classes, whatever.
She opened the can of worms without knowing it. Because the next question is going to be fun.
Okay.
We had a run-in with some people that studied here, and with their, I'm not going to use the attributes that I would normally in let's say more less formal conversation, but there were more than a few situations in which students came to us after 3 or 5 years and said, "Yeah, I could have done all of that myself." What's your opinion about that?
Probably not. Or if they would in some magical way be able to completely replicate all the knowledge they gained from here, it would take
It doesn't
them
have to be here, anywhere.
anywhere really. It would take them double or triple the time. That's all I can really comment on that, because it's vastly different when you're pressured into learning.
A structure.
You have a structure, like a timetable. Okay, I have exams then and there. I have to study for this now, otherwise I'm gonna fail. And you don't have that when you're studying by yourself, and when someone else is also guiding you what's right or what path is good to take to study this or that. Because when you study by yourself, I know it from my own skin, you know. When you study by yourself, you just kind of start going into some completely different direction suddenly, and you're not even aware of it till you're too late, and you're like, wait, why am I here now? I should be studying something completely else if I want to reach this point. And then, okay, I guess I studied something that I don't really need at the moment. Maybe I'm going to need it later. But what I'm trying to say is you're studying in a probably very unstructured way, and you might get a bit tangled and lost in the way. You will get untangled eventually. But what makes the difference is you're not being guided, and then you might lose motivation, and then you're going to be like, screw this, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to move on to something else. And then you're going to keep on doing that, and then you're never gonna reach that end goal you would get way quicker with guidance at university. That's my take.
Want to add something?
Look a squirrel.
Look a squirrel, yeah.
Yes, this is the main thing that is the difference between people who have learned how to learn and people who don't, who actually require some sort of guidance. Because once you finish whatever degree you're doing it, and you are in your field, you are going to end up with endless Lucas Squirrel loops that are going to be both annoying and a nice thing to do, because it has happened to me more than one time that I start with, I don't know, how does register work in 6502, and then I end up with Middle East politics 2.5 hours later. No, because Wikipedia, and because AI, and because links, and because something.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Yes. So the problem is that the structure that guides you through is something that is helpful when you're starting, but it's also helpful later, but it's much more complicated to get it later.
Yeah.
Because there is not a lot of people who can actually provide you with the structure.
It's about unlearning bad things. That's something that people are very bad at.
Also, understanding how to find good sources of structure.
Yes.
Because the way people usually see books is that the books are knowledge. Usually, what I find in books is structure. I usually, especially in IT, most of the knowledge inside it is in the particular time that I'm reading the book, obsolete. Partly or wholly, or just simply because something can change. For example, I have right now when we were preparing for this particular episode, I took a look at the book from 2015, and they were saying something about IoT. They were trying to make an educated guess how this is going to look like today, 9 years later, and I think they are completely off by, I don't know, a factor order of magnitude, but the thing is that they are pointing me in the structured way on where to look. So I can take that book, I can strip away the content, but I can take the structure and then structurally just introduce or reintroduce the content that is relevant today. So the books and things that I'm reading usually create a structure for me. I'm not interested in the entirety of the content. I'm interested in how should I address this problem?
And structure is helpful to learning.
Yes.
That's the. It doesn't really matter if it's STEM or something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the next question, because you said something, and I want to hold you to that.
Okay.
What about the grad program?
The graduate program.
Yeah.
I feel as if it's a bit less structured compared to the undergraduate, as if it's kind of a fumble of things combined together, because someone wasn't sure what else to put instead of certain subjects. And then they just kind of put something to fill the gap. That's my honest opinion.
And hence the first time where you are only half right.
Half right, okay.
Maybe a little bit less, but half right. Okay. Specifically, which topics are we talking about?
Should I mention the actual name of the subject?
Topic, not necessarily the subject.
Where we innovate stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's the only one. But
Everything
it's-
else is fine with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that one has the most ECTS points, so it's basically like half the first semester and second semester and third semester. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah, that's okay. We need to have a chat with Anna and her mentor, because he's the one who invented that.
I know, he
course.
told me. I know.
Yeah. But yeah, the way in which we envisioned the idea of having multiple different members of the team from different backgrounds, marketing, programming, software engineering, system engineering, data science, whatever. It depends on the year when it was when the course was taking place, was to kind of like try to facilitate cooperation, which is a topic that I feel strongly about, as I'm sure you know from one of my courses, in which I usually have both people doing program engineering and system engineering in the same classroom, and then we have to work out the details of how to cooperate together, because usually what people do in those two camps is look at each other over a barrel of a gun. That's the most common approach all over the world, which is completely off the mark and unnecessary. You guys have to work together, so better you might as well learn it as soon as possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're looking at somebody over the barrel of a gun, you should be on the mark.
On the mark, yeah, exactly.
This is
with
the
a good pointer, laser pointer. Yeah, that's good. But the intent of that specific course is excellent.
Yes, I agree.
Execution doesn't work.
Yes.
Not because of the course itself.
Yes.
It is specifically because of the country and the climate that we live in which it is impossible to always have the same, not team members, but members of the team that come from exactly the same backgrounds year on year after year after year. That's the problem.
Yes.
And it is an execution problem.
Yes.
It is not a planning problem. The idea that your mentor had was excellent from the get-go. I agree with it very much. But you are in a situation in which you are taking that class with your fellow students who are doing marketing and program engineering, correct?
And designers.
And designers. Yeah, try to work out a project in which all four of you can work together, and then to multiply that by the number of teams. That's the problem. It is not an excuse.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
It is just factual analysis. So it is kind of partial failure on our part not to account for that. But it is impossible to work out the matrix of all of the possible combinations because we have so many different, departments and various types of study programs here. It is impossible to work out the matrix in which that is going to work for every single generation.
Yes.
That's the fundamental problem. And trust me when I say this, I'm not saying it loudly, we had a gazillion discussions about it. And we are struggling with that and fighting between each other in the background, which you students don't see, about it. I mean, in a productive and conversational way, trying to work on improving it. We even changed the people who are in charge of that course as well, because the new. They are not new. They've been working for us for a number of years.
Yeah.
But the new crew is also doing, I think, a much better job than what it used to be. And whatnot. There are a lot of things that work well, but there is a bit of chaos there that you're not sometimes taking into account. Forget about everything that I just said.
Okay.
But you need to also kind of have a structured analysis of the chaos that you guys are doing.
Yes, I know.
The way in which the teams are structured, the way in which you guys interact with each other for the project purposes, the way in which some people do and some people don't do the things that they need to do and whatnot, has a direct inverse correlation to the quality of the course.
Yes, it does.
That's a big problem that also needs awareness. And again, not making excuses, just pointing out the rational details behind it. But in general, we are not happy with that because we are not the institution to be happy with stuff like that happening.
Yes.
And I know that we are having conversation in terms of how in the hell are we going to kind of like modulate that in a little bit of a different direction. You're already actually a part of the, second or third phase or the different retake on the same topic, like re-recording a song 3 times over, hoping it for it to be better, and yet it never completely does.
Yeah, it's still in the works.
It's still a clone of something that doesn't work perfectly.
But I think I know why. It's just the students in the end, because the entire focus of this course is that the students work together.
You have to work together, and you are not doing it.
And that's the problem. Because the thing in university and college, I'm talking now not just about algebra, talking about all kinds of universities and the experiences I've read about other students having to work on group projects. It's always the same thing, same as here. They just don't want to cooperate. Maybe there are 2 people in the group who really want to get this to work, but then the remaining 3 or more just don't have the same drive or motivation to contribute that the same way, and they just kind of postpone everything till the last minute, and then it all falls apart.
And this is exactly where your earlier perfect symbolism of Carl Jung should be applied. There are situations in life in which you just cannot help people, nor you should.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. It is harsh. It is not necessarily very positive reinforcement or emotionally positive thing to say, but it is so.
It is
if you are a 50-year student and you are incapable of at least algorithmically forcing yourself for an hour a week or something, that doesn't really matter how much, to cooperate with your colleagues on a group project, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And you are the problem.
Yes.
And you should solve that problem someplace else.
Exactly.
And hence, the reason why basically our biggest fail there is thinking that we could kind of like Geppetto our way around that, or to manage that by managing you, which is impossible because every team is different.
Yes.
And every team has a different person that's slacking.
Exactly.
Which annoys the hell out of me.
It annoys the
And
hell
I'm
out
not
of
even involved
everyone.
with the course.
It annoys the hell out of everyone. You're not the only
Yeah,
one.
I know.
So yeah.
I must say
Squirrel?
that, no, I'm just going to say that what we just witnessed when we were discussing the teams is probably the most positive thing about the entire course.
We should, exactly because of that, we should stick with this.
Yes, because the thing is that in every team that I have ever been in, the dynamics is also the same.
Yeah, I've been told by a colleague that it's very similar to how it will be.
Yes, and the problem is
That's why we're not eliminating the course.
It's completely relevant. So
the problem is that in the team you are going to have the leader, you're going to have the slacker, you're going to have the
average
guy, you're going to have the committee guy who's going to go try to solve everything by discussing it endlessly and so on and so on.
Outlier guy.
And anyways, but this is the thing that is talking about this, but this is the precise point in which I'm going to try to finish this discussion because we already way too long. We have come from 6-year-old child who should be able to decide for himself to 20-something odd people who are trying to work on a project and still unable to distribute their attention and their time in order to succeed. So what does this mean for STEM education or any education at all?
We are doomed.
Yes, we are doing. Nobody can make people create their own path unless they know how to create it.
Yes.
And we need to find a way to teach them how to create their own paths and teach them how to do the time management and everything else.
Yes.
If you know the solution to this, please let me know, because I have a problem with time management.
Yeah.
You too, and everybody
really?
else does. Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody has the problem with the time management, either by slacking, as me, or by having too many things happening at once at the same time as you. And this is just the thing that it's normal human behavior, but it's also, it requires some sort of structured way how to approach this, and I have no idea how to do it.
No, actually, I think we're doing some things good in the correct direction. And it pains me to say this, but sometimes negative reinforcement is the only way. Sometimes the carrot and the stick is the only way. And we had a semi-funny discussion prior to coming here today about your students basically ignoring the one part of your class because it's a project class, so they completely forgot that they have to do the project, whatnot, ignoring your Saturdays, whatever, to their own detriment. And there's a deadline, and there are punishments there, 1 point per week per learning outcome, whatnot. We have to introduce that all over the place. That's the only way I see. And again, pains me to say this because I prefer not to do it that way.
Yeah.
But that being said, again, to widen the topic of working in teams, as soon as you start working in teams, you soon realize that that's the only way.
Sadly,
Even more so than in individual projects, which you had a lot of, every single one of you, prior to coming to year 4 or year 5.
Yes.
This is exactly why we have, and this is something that we discussed a lot over the years. You started with something a little bit simpler in year 2, in the first semester, then a little bit more complex, then first projects, then more complex projects, then group project. It's basically the politest way in which we could teach you how to go from zero to be a colleague to somebody in the same department or across multiple different teams within the realms of a couple of years without a boss giving you the boot from the company.
Yeah.
Which is what is going to happen to a lot of these people working or actually algorithmically thinking that their approach to the topic of working in a group project by not working at all or by not communicating or by not doing deliverables that you mentioned earlier or actionables or whatever, this is going to happen to people. And then they're going to be surprised and then they're going to bitch and moan about it on TikTok.
Exactly.
So we should basically introduce people's department into a project. People's department being the alias for the HR.
Okay.
And I think we should be introducing the people's department into the project management course in such a way that it is possible to both
destruct everything.
To both lay off part of the team, or create a budget that is completely impossible to satisfy, and then make the team fit the solution inside the budget.
And that means that we have to also introduce somebody from sales to the team.
Yes, I think we should be reducing marketing much more.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
Yes, because they are doing the sales and the marketing, so I think that we should be into marketing much in many more cases. But I think that I'm now trying to wrap my hand around how did we start from STEM and ended up discussing a particular course in a particular year on
because we are a STEM college. And using us as a metaphor is a valid point, especially criticizing us.
Okay, so in any case, let's do the closing.
Just wait for a second. Maybe she wants to add something to everything
this
that you said.
is what I want. Let's do the closing statements.
Closing statements. Oh, really? That's what I like. This is a political discussion now. Go ahead.
I've pretty much said everything. I mean, I don't really have anything else to criticize. That was my only critic, but it's just
one pet peeve altogether.
One pet peeve just because of people. It's always people. But
of course, it's always people.
It's always people. Like
it's always people. Yeah, that's the problem in IT. When you put people into IT, everything starts to break.
The computers are so fine.
Yeah. But I know that my mentor's intentions for this were great, and I do agree that innovating stuff is freaking awesome, and we should be innovators. But sadly, as you mentioned, the execution is kind of
Lacking.
lacking.
Yeah.
To say it the most polite way
No,
possible.
no. It
Let me-
sucks.
Let me
You
just
can say it less politely. It's okay.
I think I'm going to make a bumper sticker. There's going to be saying serverless is much better if it's userless.
That's awesome. We need to
I
make that
really
bumper
like
sticker.
that.
Yeah.
I want to buy
Yes,
that.
yes, I know.
He is into trolling mode and he's making excellent use out of his brain time, producing bumper sticker messages for various situations lately, and we're loving it.
Okay, on that bombshell, let's finish this thing.
On that bombshell.
Sure.
Yes. So Anna, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for
Vedran,
having
thank
me.
you
With us.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Aspen, for being with us.
We'll see if your further accompanying is going to be required in this podcast. So
Thank you for you guys to sticking with us as well.
Exactly.
thank you and bye.
Bye.
Bye.